When will India and Pakistan start talking peace? Some are asking this especially after a statement from this man. He is Dattatreya Hosabale, a senior leader of RSS, India's most powerful Hindu nationalist organization. Hosabale recently signaled opening a dialogue with Pakistan. He said, "We should not close the doors. We should always be ready to engage in dialogue." The statement came as a surprise, especially since India and Pakistan's relations remain hostile and given that the RSS has often maintained a hawkish stance against Pakistan. His views were quickly picked by media and chatter started if it's time for India to open a dialogue with Pakistan. Delhi has sharply downgraded engagement with Pakistan since last year's conflict.
It cannot be a coincidence that on the first anniversary, around the first anniversary of the May conflict, last year's May conflict, such statements coming from across the border from India. I believe these, to me, these are testing waters, and it was kind of giving a cover to BJP, which at time can spin it if it wants to resume talks with Pakistan in the changing geopolitical situation.
Siddharth Varadarajan, a journalist from India's The Wire, says there is not much to the chatter.
Frankly, there is no evidence whatsoever of a softening of the government of India's formal and oft-repeated position that it is not going to talk to Pakistan until as India says, talks and terrorism can't go hand in hand, and it's the government of India's view that Pakistan has not given up sponsorship of terrorism. So, frankly, I don't see any change in the government of India's position.
The discussion of any potential talks also surprised many because they came at a point when military posturing from both sides remains high. Look at this. This Indian military video posting of its preparedness and readiness to act. Much of the videos are aimed at sending a message to arch rival Pakistan. Pakistan has also been doing the same, establishing a new rocket force and conducting testing of its missile systems. It's been a little more than a year since the two countries engaged in their most intense military confrontation in years. And since then, the belligerent messaging from the leadership has continued.
मौक़े-ए-हक़ में मिसाली फतह ने हमारी ख़ारजा पॉलिसी और सफारती अहमियत पर बराह रास्त मुस्बत असरात मुरतब किए। अक़वाम आलम ने इस बात को तस्लीम किया कि इस ख़ित्ते में पाकिस्तान एक नाक़ाबिल फ़रामोश हकीकत और नाक़ाबिल तस्ख़ीर ताकत है।
Pakistan, if it continues to harbor terrorists and operate against India, then they have to decide whether they want to be part of the geography or history.
India has historically blamed Pakistan for sponsoring terrorism, and groups like Lashkar-e-Taiba and Jaish-e-Mohammed have long been linked by India and Western governments to attacks in India. Pakistan claims it has cracked down on such groups. Last year, India linked the Pahalgam attack in Indian-administered Kashmir to Pakistan, the incident that triggered the conflict between the two. Pakistan denies the allegations and rather blames India for fomenting terrorism in its southwestern province of Balochistan, an allegation Delhi denies. India has sought to isolate Pakistan, but Islamabad seems to be playing an increasingly important international role. It has hosted talks between the US and Iran in Islamabad. It has signed a defense pact with Saudi Arabia. It enjoys strong ties with China and has also made inroads into the White House.
You've had Donald Trump talk about how Field Marshal Asim Munir is his favorite field marshal. So there is a certain higher level of relationship between Washington and Islamabad, which again is something which supporters of the BJP and the RSS and the Narendra Modi government would find very irksome. So in that context, where Pakistan's standing globally obviously has improved, and the possibility for India to wage a military conflict against Pakistan, there's a lesser likelihood of India being able to take military measures today than it was, say, a year ago.
Could shifting geopolitics convince India to engage with Pakistan?
I believe that the superpowers, both America and China, want Pakistan and India to have peaceful coexistence. And Pakistan would also want a peaceful eastern border because it has a troublesome western border vis-a-vis tense relationship vis-a-vis vis-a-vis Afghan Taliban, along western border. And Pakistan knows it very well that it has a role to play in the Arab world, in the Middle East, once the conflict ends with Iran.
But Siddharth says the domestic political landscape may not allow India to change its position.
So, frankly, in the next 8 months to 1 year, engagement, dialogue, softening towards Pakistan is not going to happen, especially since, as we know, Mr. Modi's foreign policy tends to be very driven by domestic politics. And you have major elections coming up. Uttar Pradesh, which is India's biggest state, will have important provincial elections in at the end of January, early February. And this is a state which is considered a strong sort of very, very significant for BJP, and where harsh rhetoric against Pakistan has always been part of the BJP's approach.
For almost a decade, India and Pakistan have had very limited ties, and since last year's conflict, there has been a further cut.
They don't have bilateral ties. They don't have sporting ties. Artists are banned. There are visa restrictions. Millions of cricketing fans have been deprived because both the cricketing teams are banned to play.
While terrorism remains a huge concern for India, Pakistan continues to push for international attention and negotiations over Kashmir, the disputed region both India and Pakistan claim in its entirety. Kashmir has repeatedly been a source of major conflicts between the two countries.
We know that when India changed the constitutional status of Jammu and Kashmir in 2019, Imran Khan, who was the Prime Minister of Pakistan, essentially used that occasion to stop trade with India. He used that occasion to withdraw Pakistan's High Commissioner. So, in a way, the most recent escalation prior to Operation Sindoor was something which the Pakistani side had initiated. So I think both sides need to take a step back. I think a very, very plausible, probable first step can be if the two governments agree that, okay, let's send our high commissioners back. Let India's High Commission in Islamabad and Pakistan's High Commission in Delhi be headed by a senior diplomat, because senior diplomats are politically important.
Can India and Pakistan afford continued hostilities?
If Pakistan and India are engaged in another war, the consequences would be disastrous, not for the region, and but the consequences would go beyond the region, and it would threaten the global peace. So, I mean, lives are at stake. Millions of lives are at stake.
This is not a good situation. It's not a healthy situation. So we don't really want to be in a position where you have the possibility of war and then you're waiting for the wider world to get involved and get both sides to back down. So I think it's far better that India and Pakistan develop a method for engagement with each other for crisis management, but also a more normal course of engagement so that these kinds of situations do not arise.
Even though there has been no official mention of talks between the two countries, some voices on both sides of the border are quietly advocating for a more serious engagement between the two.